to get countered by if you just play back and break her stuff. But so with Sova, I mean, obviously the Hunter's Fury, it's a powerhouse.
Yeah, but you know what I really wanted to highlight is that Cairo did actually land on Raze here, and you know a lot of people might be scratching their head at that, thinking like, "Oh, Raze on Ascent," but you know, to be honest, I actually kind of do. I've been liking Raze more and more on this map. I do think Jet is very good, you know, especially because, like you said, she's just really apt at getting out of sticky situations. But in terms of Raze, especially on the attack side, you can go for some really explosive sight hits off of the back of some, you know, if you practice those satchel boosts a lot. And also utilizing her paint shells in some of these really tight corners, especially when you have that fade. I mean, you can pull off some pretty nasty combos, and I'm wondering if that's something that they've been practicing over on the side of Ookers.
Yeah, and you got to know, how are these players been just working together to make it to the point where they can compete here? I mean, yes, we saw Ookers absolutely dominate their last game, but the problem is that we actually haven't seen IlluZion today, so we don't know how they're feeling. This is their first game of the day. Is it going to be like a warm-up game where, you know, first time guys, sorry about that, or is it going to be I'm refreshed, recharged, and ready to roll? That's the question of the day. And of course, we got to first load in, and honestly, I'm loving what we're seeing here so far from the team compositions. Obviously very similarly mirrored, everything outside of the duelist, of course. And which duelist do you think is better, Jet or Raze? I touched on it a little bit during the selection.
You know, I have, like I said, I've been liking Raze a lot more, and you know, I think a lot of the Jet pick on Ascent is just kind of old habits, and I think it's time to let those old habits die and start leaning more into Raze. I mean, we have seen some teams, you know, even possibly playing around with the fact that they could maybe be running Phoenix on this map, which I think is viable. I don't think Jet is as king anymore on most maps as she used to be.
Yeah, and speaking of Phoenix, we've seen all over the place that Phoenix has been kind of a newer addition to the meta here, because, you know, double initiator, triple initiator has been meta here on Ascent for a while, and Phoenix kind of fills that role. He has the flashbangs that initiators get. He has the ability to heal himself, and that's better than Sky, you know? Sky does heal his team, but Phoenix heals himself and does a lot of damage. But now that we're getting right into this pistol round, who is going to be lasting it off today? Of course, we got that push through mid. Pain, bringing the pain on the train, getting himself a 3K or 2K now, helping with 3, but Pine and the KO, they want to get in here.
Last player standing.
Down, Zambi last one standing, and of course, to shut down a Zambi, you gotta shoot it in the brain.
All right, so now we've officially seen the duality of this, right? Because we casted just recently an Ascent game where we saw a very similar pistol play coming out from mid, and the thing was that they were punished for it because the setup was so heavily aligned towards the A site, rather A or B, and they were, you know, they didn't actually get the payoff that they wanted. But this time we actually see the benefits of defenders pushing out from main, or rather from mid onto the very first pistol round. They utilized their utility perfectly, and they were able to break up any sort of play and create just a pinch right away. So great round from IlluZion to just kind of lock that one down. Right off the top, just want to point out we do see a Vandal in the hands of Pain, so this could be a good hold.
I can't use that.
Could be a good hold if he is able to keep it in his hands. What a clean shot. This man feels like he's at Aim Labs right now. I mean, IlluZion, this is their first game on today, and we're already seeing that they are here to play, performing beautifully so far. And the headshots coming out from that Jet, leaving only 2 remaining. It's going to be Kai.
Toaster is broken.
Headhunter headshot onto Brady, but this is going to be a little bit of still come down, and I love what we're seeing here, because if Kai gets aggressive, he could take this man out, or he could get taken out, and there it is. No more Headhunter. He's rocking himself the new Spectre he found. But I think he might be able to win this for his team, as long as he can shut down this Jet Pain. That's kind of what you have to do.
Yeah, this is a very difficult position for him to be in right now. They did secure the plan, so that's good money for them. But find one here, and then there you go. That's all the value that you need. You just need to get 3 on those eco rounds. So really well done from Ookers to actually take a lot of those guns out of them. Unfortunately, Pain's still carrying the next the rifle into the next round, and already Bladestorm online 7-0. An amazing couple of rounds from Pain. So we might be able to see them maybe utilize that on this bonus. Maybe toss that Vandal off towards somebody else and pop that Blade Storm to try and, you know, just secure as much of this round as possible.
Yeah, and with what Payne has been absolutely bringing today, one thing has to be stated. It's that he's got his ultimate, as he stated. But also, the fact of the matter is he got a 4K
That's not
there.
ready
He was on
to
a road
shoot.
to winning. He was absolutely
That's not ready.
crushing it. And that is just a beautiful opening because, you know, we talked about it before on the previous team. You know, Rolled, they have a, you know, on Rolled's team, for example, their Jet, of course, is kind of unable to get on that defense and do as much damage as we're seeing from Payne. This man is playing defensively, but just enough to say a good offense is the best defense. So can we see this happen again from Payne? He's already popped his knives. I think he gave away the rifle to someone else here, so he's relying on these to get himself some picks. And of course, this is the buy round for these attackers. Full Vandals on the board. And here we go. Zambi is going to get spotted out by Payne. And Payne, he's not over peeking it. He's not saying, let's try to ego peek it. And that's what matters.
Actually really well played for both teams here. Cairo able to get that opening pick, and that should open up B site for them. But they're probably going to spend a lot of utility here just making sure they clear it out, and that's actually going to give IlluZion a lot of time to rotate over. But Joseph, he's got an answer for that pinch, and now Ookers are in a really good position here to just kind of go wherever they want. It's all going to come down to whether or not Gio is able to break up this play over on A main.
Yeah, and they really want to break up the play, but Gio, he needs to not snipe out like that because that is a lot of bullets aiming his way. Bad at timing, but it's just unfortunate. He thought that maybe
30
he might be
seconds
going
left.
mid to B since they just did so much damage there. He would not have been expecting the rotate.
Spike carrier is down.
Payne, he gets one.
Spike down A.
Man, he gets two.
Last player
Oh, there
standing.
it is. He is going to get shut down, but so many picks. This is a bonus round, and they're getting rid of one. Out of weapons, another one down. Oh, but he almost gets a second. Beautiful job, but the economy for this attacking side is not going to be looking too hot.
No, they're gonna be kind of in a difficult position here, but we can see Kai is kind of in a similar position that Payne was in. Tour de Force is ready, so if he wants, he can maybe hand that over, and it looks like he's just gonna give it over to his buddy Pond. So we will see the Tour de Force activated. Meanwhile, IlluZion, they're in a pretty decent spot. I mean, not gonna be able to afford a buy all the way around, but I really like the way that they were able to play that last round. Of course, they lost the roundup, but they didn't get too aggressive. They didn't overextend, and that was the same thing that Ookers was doing as well. So this could be one of those matchups where these
Want to
teams
play?
really like
Let's
to take
play.
their time and get a lot of information before deciding where they want to hit.
Yeah, and you're going to want to decide where to hit fast because the more util you see that this defensive team uses, it's on a cooldown. It'll get back up. For example, the KO knife. The second that KO knife's gone, if it doesn't hit you, you might want to retake some space. But looking at that A side, there's two people over on B. Everybody on the attack is kind of split up and just searching for some clues as to where they're going to hit.
Yeah, really just slowing down. We do see the spike kind of over towards A here. Pond will be able to get one, but Brady's just going to trade that right back out, and I think that's going to be cause for a little bit of a reset here. We can see that Ookers is maybe just doing a little bit of pressure over towards B, but I think they're just going to regroup and then probably hit the B site here, attach all by their lonesome, alone on the site. This could be a lot for them, but if they have the right utility, they could slow this down. Meanwhile, Rec just holding down mid, just making sure that there's absolutely no split capabilities possible for them.
And that made so much damage onto this man attach, and he's going to have to attach himself onto the site and hammer it down. But Rec
30
is going
seconds
through
left.
with that headhunt, clicking on what he needs to, but this is a big push from lane right now. And
One enemy
has it
remaining.
flying, but he can't
Spike
get two.
down
Rec
B.
gets another. He's the last man standing, and he's getting one more. Kai, he's got this. He's got the Tour de Force. He's got this. But he whips the shot. Honestly, I thought that was going to connect, but it's just unfortunate. And defenders now taking the lead back into their hands. Very clean round.
Yeah, I mean, it really just shows the importance, I think, of trying to hold mid control when you're playing on a map like Ascent. I mean, obviously, it was a pretty
That's a
decent
good
default
spot.
coming out from Ookers, but when they decided to make that rotation over towards B, they left mid completely open, and it allowed Rec to just apply so much pressure from market, and it really helped them break up that play, you know? So hopefully this time around, Ookers can put a little bit more pressure towards mid and at least force them to fight for it, or, you know, force them to think
Bring
about
them
it going
down.
into these next rounds.
Fortunate thing about it, we do have
Found
Cash
one.
doing a little bit of damage, but what can happen here. Of course, Rek is ready to roll. He's got himself the Vandal, and he's looking for some damage. But unfortunately, this is a big mid push, and they don't even have a spike. They're just going for info here. And if push comes to shove, we do, of course, have that Omen. If he's able to get himself 3 kills, he can go and pick it up. But
Okay.
let's see what's he's going to spot out Rek using that bot, but he doesn't know that it's the chamber. He might think it's the fade and only the fade. Now that Rek is given the position, the dash needs to swing it, and Kairo's going to get the gun down. The Bulldog in his hands, but it's not big enough with Kai getting the headshot down. And now it's, of course, a 3 against 5. But these attackers very happy about the position they got themselves in just from those trades in middle.
Really good setup here. Pain's actually going to get caught out by Pond as well, so things are definitely starting to fall apart for IlluZion, and look how diligently they're taking this space. You know, they're not just rushing in, they're not just being careless, and now it's all down to Gio and Brady in a 2v5. This is going to be a lot of work for them to pull out.
Spike planted.
Roll out, but honestly, the Steam Crosshair coming out here. This man's playing Minecraft while everyone else is playing Valorant. And we see
Last player
another
standing.
one. This time, maybe a little bit too thick of a crosshair to get the flick onto that head, but sometimes you got to try something new, and maybe this is just the new meta coming out from these pro players.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, we saw the value, right? That I feel instantly vindicated in just the fact that they were able to put the pressure on mid and how much map control they were able to take off of that for Ookers. You know, they pressured mid with a lot of players. They shut down the 2 players that are holding that, and now it's like, well, we can go wherever we want. And that's exactly what they did. They strolled right into B, like obviously being very diligent, respecting their opponents, but Pond keeps himself in a good position, holding down mid control, and this allows Pain from getting any more space. So I'd like to see more of that going forward, and it does look like they are just kind of setting up for another default over towards B. Hopefully just try to get some utility out to grab some information while the rest of the team just holds this potential push over towards A.
You know, they got to hold that push potential. And here's the thing about Rek. I mean, he's got the required weapon, Impossible, and he's going to force getting the spike down. He
Spike
also has
down,
to go around
B.
it. Recently nerfed, but I don't think that really matters. Ow! What a shot from Cairo. He got one immediately afterwards. Of the KO, shutting back the tour de force. That's what won that round. But isn't really winning the round until the round is over. These defenders, they still have a chance at bringing it back. But Spike now down, an incredibly low Omen. And Bambi ready to get some more info for his team. It's going to be tough. They know that there is one elite CT, one in now market. And this is, again, going to be a really tough push here. Gio trying to be the bait for his team with that 5 HP. There we go. Trying to get one, but that's Gio getting the shot down. Now tying it up 2-2. Definitely winnable.
Last player standing.
Kai's gonna get one, and he knows exactly where Brady is. Brady expected corners are going to be swinging. Zambi takes him down.
You know what? That was actually a really good round from IlluZion, though. It took a lot of guns out of their hand and just tried to make sure that they're slowing down a little bit of that momentum, right? Because Ookers could start running away with it if you allow them to carry as many guns into these next rounds as they have been. So, I mean, pretty decent from them to try and salvage as much of that round as possible. But now, look, we have 3 ultimates online. One from the Shadows could help them with a little bit of information, but the big ones are Brady and Attach with their Null Command and the Nightfall. So we might be able to see them use some of this to actually initiate a good site execute here, but they've been having trouble with some of these defenses. I think it's time to just get a little bit more aggressive and just start taking more of this space, because you're just allowing IlluZion to kind of, you know, or rather, you're letting Ookers to kind of just roll over you.
And I completely agree.
They found my
Ookers is doing
trap.
their best to really just keep the momentum up. But the fact of the matter is, this is a very close game, 3-3, with a mirrored win percentage right now. You know, 1 wins 2, loses 1, loses 1, wins 2. It's a strange way to play, but what are we going to have happen from Cairo here? He's got to be the man to push forward. He, of course, has himself a large gun. It's going to be the Vandal. But is the Vandal the weapon of choice today for them to keep pushing forward? I mean, of course, so much utility still available, but I love that the defenders are now anchoring not on site, but instead in main. That is an off angle that might not get expected, but it's about how can this man Pain give away that position before they all push out, because the second Pain gets spotted, they're going to now hammer him down.
This is going to be a really tricky position for them. We see the execute coming out off of the Nightfall. It's going to give a lot of information here, but can they hold it down? Pain is able to find one there on the opener.
He's able to find one. Attach is
Spike
able to find
down,
the other.
B.
Spike is down, but Attach is still
Last player
gonna get gunned
standing.
down. Last man standing is going to be pawned. Everybody on this defensive team working together to gun down the market players. Now Gio's ready to swing, and he's not ready to pass. There is Dean also with him into the headshot mood, getting himself pawned down.
I actually really love the way that IlluZion played that out. Then, you know, instead of just trying to fight for mid, they say, like, okay, you know what, here, you take mid, we'll hold on to CT and take control of B main. So it puts Ookers in a really peculiar position, right? They commit so much utility and so many people into mid, while the rest of IlluZion just starts forming positions all the way around them. So no matter what they do, whether they decide to hit or whether they decide to run back, they're probably running into a player from IlluZion and giving away some info. So really well played for them to try to take the lead there. And now it looks like Ookers just going to try to go for an early aggressive push into A.
Face your fear!
Aggressive push, but look at this. The nightmare coming in. That is what leads to the aggression you need. Gio kind of stuck inside of here. And I don't think they're actually noticing that, because that orb should give away where Gio is anchored to. But unfortunately, it is not going to get them a pick. Now, Gio,
Spike planted.
He's only rocking himself this Phantom for the reason of, if anybody
Last player standing.
Kai on the flank getting 2 kills. Last man standing attached, tries to get some, but he's just going to get revealed. And this is definitely stressful with the new smoke. You can tell these attackers, yes, they're very aggressive on getting onto site. Once they're there, they play together and they play to win. And that is why Ookers is now tied up yet again.
Wow, this has been a lot of back and forth, and you know, with the way that sometimes these games go, where you're just kind of trading out round for round, you start to put your economy in a very peculiar position, which we can already see is happening for both of these teams. I mean, Ookers definitely in the better spot, and they will be able to buy up full, but I mean, IlluZion, they're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel here, and we've yet to see the null command come out. Pain is one off of that Blade Storm, but I mean, they're gonna have to start finding some answers here, and the problem is that Ookers have just been playing so inconsistently. I mean, they seem to have a really deep playbook, and they haven't really repeated you know, too many plays. So it looks like their remedy for this is to just kind of try to get a little aggressive out towards Cat and maybe just try to find some info towards mid here.
Yeah, trying to get that mid push coming in, but I mean, with what they have, they don't really need to. These attackers splitting it off, making sure that they are spread thin, could either be the detriment or the play of the game. But now these defenders, they're putting pressure down onto mid, pushing away from B and ready to try their best to get some picks off. And it's kind of risky. It's definitely a position where if you lose one player, everything starts domino affecting downwards. But here we go. Anchoring it back, gets the shot onto Joseph, wants to get some more, but blind. Everybody in mid right now. I don't know if these defenders are going to be able to keep this up, especially with how much damage we've already seen Pain take, but getting that fade out of the way, that's big. Here we go. Cairo trying his best to anchor this. Can he actually get the shot down onto these players? Of course, he does have that spike. He's waiting to see who's going to put up a fight.
I dropped the spike.
Let's find out.
There. 30 seconds left.
I mean, mid looks pretty free here for them. It's just going to be about whether or not they can get into B.
I think they will try to get into B, but this is Pain's game. This is how he likes to play it. Cairo trying to get any info. Unfortunately, he's really just one shot away in 13 seconds. The power of Ascent is you.
10 seconds
You
left.
gotta get on Spike, on site, and A site is gonna be the only place to be, and he has to stick it. And if he goes down, that's the end of the round.
Spike
Rex
down
is gonna
A.
overpeak it, playing it perfectly for time. All of these attackers now losing so much money.
My lord, that was actually
One enemy remaining.
textbook default round from IlluZion going into that. I mean, you could kind of see, I mean, if we were doing a VOD review, I would just be drawn all over the minimap. But basically what they did was they had kind of a stack over towards mid and A. And I mean, Gio just putting out really good smokes like towards the front of B main there to just make the players of Ookers too nervous to push into the B tunnel there. But the thing is they didn't actually have anybody. So what they did was they effectively forced them into positions like mid and Cat where they had players ready to punish them. That's how they were actually able to win that round out. So it was really well done from IlluZion here. I would like to see them replicate that going forward.
You know, you gotta see them replicate it, and Cairo winning that pick is huge against Pain. They can try to bring this game back. And when Pain is their top frag and Pond also taking out Brady, this is so good attack. But there is Attach getting Cairo down, trying to level it out. If he got both of them, this map might be going to them. But the problem is that Gio, he's kind of stuck alone here trying to push in, but the spike is not down, and these attackers, I mean, 4 still alive. defense. You're not looking too hot, but if you can isolate Joseph down, you might be able to get it in time. But you know, we don't get to, or they don't get to see what we see. They don't know the dramatic irony of only one on site, and they just let him push. And there we go. Rek is going to get Zambi down. Now a 2 against 3, but he took a lot of damage there. He's sitting outside the log. Smoke is coming out.
Spike planted.
Might be getting timing here, but he's joined by his teammate. And here is where IlluZion wants to get this. And that's a run and gun and clean headshot down. Now Rek, he's got to keep pushing forward. He's over.
One enemy remaining.
A nice clean shot, and that is a retake. A 2 against 4 working out in their favor. You say, wow, Disco, and I say, dang. Look at these guys. I mean, how are you supposed to play that different?
Actually,
No, I mean, I think the real downfall here for Ookers was that they took the B site, but they were, I mean, Joseph was all alone. Then they had the spike all the way down in tiles. It gave IlluZion so much time to reposition. They were able to get in, and Geo just clearing those like very crucial angles for Rek, while Rek just holds down B main. It's like flawless for them. So, I mean, next time, you know, you're gonna take the site. I think you should probably have a little bit more of a plan going into it and not have to waste so much time, because I think when you have all that time, it kind of telegraphs to the opponents that like, hey, you know, they're not planting. I don't think the spike is here, and that ended up being the main reason why they weren't able to hold the site down.
Yeah, it might be the only reason we're not going to see the spike. But we also have Rek getting the spike down.
Spike down A.
That is Pond immediately getting the trade. That's great because he's not going to get the spike down. There is Pain. So much aggression coming
Last
out. And
player
Cairo
standing.
stuck today, not doing enough. And here we go. It's last man standing. He's got the spike. He's got himself a Vandal if he picks it off the body of the chamber. But, I mean, it's dangerous. It's definitely, you gotta just play fine. You gotta plant the bomb. Get your team some economy here, because this is a thrifty round for them. You know, this is something where they will be able to buy next round, but the more money, the merrier. And now he's got to anchor it back. Here comes Geo, spots him down. The bomb and the knives, the buttons, the bullets, everything gets tapped and shot up.
Yeah, really smart from IlluZion there. I think kind of knowing that their opponents are on a little bit of an eco round, or at least a light buy, so they just kind of aggress mid, and then they initiate the pinch from mid.
Last
and,
round
B
before the
main, and it
switch.
really paid off for them. Attach obviously just finding a perfect timing there, and finding not only 2, but I think 3 even, right? And you know, that's just really well played from them. But now Rifle's in the hands of Ookers. They're gonna have to try to change things up. But what's interesting here, Edge, is it looks like they might just be taking a little bit of a gamble over towards B. And it's difficult to say. With Ookers, they do have the spike over towards the A side, but we have seen that they do like this particular default setup, and there is a really good chance that they actually end B side on this.
Bring them down.
Incredibly good chance here, but with the showstopper coming out, it's gonna get stopped by Rek. Beautiful shot. Of course, Tour de Forces come out massive. Every time he pulls it up, he gets him down. The last time, the only way
Face
he
your
got him down,
fear!
of course, was that KO ultimate. The Pain in mid. He's ready for some more. And look at that, crouching right into it. Joseph getting gunned down. Pond trying to make the space. He's going to TP all the way over to A. And Pain knows what's going on. He can hear it. He can play it. He's going to break that wall. Make sure that he can now re-swing it.
Spike
Bit of a
planted.
big push. One goes down.
One enemy remaining.
Rek immediately getting the trade. It's all up to Zambi in a 1 against 3. He needs it. It's the last round. The spike is down, but 1v3s are tough to get, especially against the Tour de Force. Against one, spots the other. Now he can't get Pain down. That is going to make it at the half. And right now, IlluZion, first game of the day, they're looking pretty warmed up.
Yeah, I mean, and they've really just identified the weakness of Ookers, I think, on their attack side, and the fact that they really had just 0 mid control, and they were able to punish that so often. We saw Pain just way out into mid and just annihilating anybody in his sights over towards tiles. But now we're making the switch over 8-4. The question is this going to be kind of similar to the games that we've seen today? Is this going to be one of those games where Ookers just decide to turn on their defense side, or is IlluZion just going to run them over? And as I say that, it does look like they might just be setting up for one of your, you know, more typical B splits, probably pushing up through mid and then out through B main as well. But the question is, are Ookers going to be well equipped enough to slow this down? Now, it's really going to come down, I think, to Kai and whether or not he can win this opening engagement over off of Cat.
Yeah, it's about how can you do that. And one thing I will mention that you said, Disco, is these guys should be able to kind of push against the grain here. They gotta be able to get the bread to get forward, and they're being pushed back. But now that it's around, this
down mid.
It's good for one, but Payne took so much damage as the KO. Incredible. That's one. Zambi immediately reloads.
One
And he
enemy
gets
remaining.
another last man to his right, and he gets
Time to die.
another.
Don't
The
make a
Frenzy
fuss.
absolutely crushing it that round for this man KO. And you know, is that a fluke or is that going to be a little warning as to what's to come?
I don't want to be that guy, but it seems a little lucky for Ookers, to be honest, because the way that IlluZion was set up, it looked like they might be just trying to go for a B split, and had that been the play that they decided to go with, I have no doubts in my mind that they would have secured that B site and got the plant. But the most unfortunate part was that they ran through mid right into two folks that were absolutely ready for a play through the tree. So unfortunately, they're losing that round, but two sheriffs and a headhunter in hand, it is possible for them to do some damage here. We saw them do it in the past. Can they do it again?
I definitely think that they do have it in them. I love the lineup. Like Fade plus Raze combo. It's why Raze might be slightly better than Jet when you have a Fade on your team, but swing it, and that is going to do a lot of damage onto the line. But the fact of the matter is that these defenders have won pistol round, and they do have the weapon advantage this round. So as long as they keep all of their lives up, make sure that they can get all the picks, considering they did buy heavy armor here. They went full out. They need to try to get these picks. And of course, Payne with the sheriff, he's kind of a man to be worried about. And that is why Face continues. There is Kai going in, getting himself a pick. But
One enemy
goes
remaining.
down, but Cairo, a triple kill, spray down, making a graveyard outside of main. Beautifully played. But this is the buy round for the attackers here, Disco.
Yeah, I mean, and it was a really good setup from Ookers there to just kind of hold it down. I like the way that they set up, and you know, I think maybe IlluZion invested too much into that round. We can see the kind of blowback of that now, just a lot of light armor, which is really not what you want to have going into a bonus against Spectres, because you give the opportunity for them to take the bonus, which is possible here. We already see them lining up
now.
for another
Eyes off
Seasonade
me.
combo, and it could pay off onto, you know, Wreck here if they time it just right. Well, meanwhile, the rest of the team looks to miss pressure mid.
And a lot of pressure is going to be given to mid, but the fact of the matter is these attackers, this is their buy, and they have a lot of weapons, but they also didn't have a lot of cash. They're going to have head armor, but it doesn't really matter to Wreck, who is getting 2 required kills, and now it's about Payne pushing out, trying to get a more clean headshot onto Kai. Honestly, the way that this man just tap fires with the Vandal, it gives me like old school CSGO vibes, you know, just the ability to be
Spike
so
planted.
crispy with it, and it's a game where you don't really get to see that kind of calm, cool, and collectedness. But with Pond here, of course, he's got himself the Spectre. This is, of course, a forced bonus to try to win it. Anything can really happen, but with now 3 dead, it's about how many guns can you get rid of here, not really anything.
Yeah, I mean, that's best case scenario, right? They just can't let them flawless this. That's absolute worst case scenario. A lot of utility online. Just take
Last
the guns away
player
and try to do a little
standing.
damage. Unfortunately, we're just going to say no to that right away. Zambi able to find one here, but it's pretty dangerous for him as he just starts to get absolutely bullied by the rest of IlluZion, and they will shut that down. Geo going to close it out with a headshot onto Zambi. And I just wanted to talk about real quick, IlluZion finally going for that mid and B main split. We saw the benefits of it. Obviously, we know because we can see the setup, but maybe that will be a good lesson for them in realizing, like, hey, you know, it seems like their mid is actually not as you know, locked down as we were playing mid. And you know, the last time they looked like they were going to do it and they didn't, they were immediately punished for it. So this time around could be a good telegraph for them if you know, if Ookers doesn't decide to tighten up their mid control a little bit. That could just allow IlluZion to completely roll over them.
Yeah, you know, I think that because of that roll coming out from it, we do have all these gamers ready to go, and obviously we need to see what's going to happen from these players. Of course, now ready to go. A little bit of a tech pause. There's just a slight tech pause, but I think these players are now going to get this. And as you were talking about, you know, momentum is a big part of how this game works. You know, you got to make sure that you can keep that going. That's going to shut down. The op is not going to get teleported away with body. But here we go. That's another pick from Cairo on
Spike down mid.
Ryan. There we go. Joseph trying his best, getting himself a pick down. Geo going for it, and here we are. A little bit of flashbang, a little bit of everybody now getting onto the site. An op now found in the hands of Rec. This is what the attack is. What? Here comes a little bit of an ult coming out.
Spike planted. Last player standing. One enemy remaining.
KO versus KO. Flashbang popping around, and there it is. Brady clutching it, and he's got to be fast. He wants that op, but I don't think he's going to actually go for it. On attack, it's not that useful.
Yeah, I mean, really good from Ookers, I think, to tighten up. Like I said, you know, IlluZion obviously realized where their weak spot was. They tried to, you know, they tried to attack it again. And even though they walk away with the round, it's not quite as clean as it was, you know, the round before. So, you know, Ookers, they're putting up a little bit more of a fight, but it still wasn't quite enough. And now they're just going to be put onto another, like, you know, eco round. So I think the play here is to just try to go for some mid fight. You want to try to shut things down as quickly as possible. Two marshals and sheriffs. I mean, that's pretty much the only play that you have.
Yeah, it might just be what you have to do. And against Brady, it's going to be tough here, but he's going to do a little bit of damage through that wall, just enough to kind of scare this KO all the way back through the spawn, but he is already getting hit beautifully. Let's see Payne. He's ready to get the site down, and there's no one to defend it. And retaking with marshals and sheriffs, I mean, Disco, there's not a lot you can do, but look at Brady here. Oh, the timing.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, the timing.
Oh, they might have him.
Oh, the timing, Brady.
Face your fear!
Oh, that's just not fair. But now Kai getting it. Rec is going to get another one. I mean, the retake is possible, but Rec is completely just shutting down all hope of this game. 5-1.
Last player standing.
On his gun down. Last man standing. He's going to get one. Kai Spray will give you away with Payne selling it for you, and attackers taking that. That timing, man.
I mean, I really like the round from IlluZion. It's really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate for Brady. You know, just getting really unlucky in the timing there. And I think Ookers just doing everything that they can to try and do as much damage in that round as possible. Unfortunately, it didn't work out because I think IlluZion just had superior positioning there. They seem to have a very good idea of how to play this map. And to be honest, I mean, 11-6, they have felt fairly in control of almost every single round here. And it's starting to get pretty dangerous here for Ookers. This is going to be a swing round for them. They do have an op in the hands of Kai. The question is he going to be able to convert that buy into some kills? Now, it looks like they are potentially ready for this A hit.
Potentially ready for the A hit. Of course, we do have Payne, and he's ready to make it rain. Can we see these picks down for them? He's going to get one.
Spike down A.
And this is a spray down of the sentry. I think pick him up, but it's hard to pick up this man. He's just...
Last player standing. One enemy remaining.
So much damage dealt. The last man, 1 HP. Duelist versus Duelist Cairo. You want to get it. You got to get it. You got to go. Let's find out, is Payne ready for it? Oh, his timing. Look at him go all the way into heaven. He might be able to anchor around with the spike. It's down right outside of main, and Cairo, he's reading it perfectly. But his aim is not perfect as much as Reed is. And he is still going to be able to get it, though. Honestly, it's such a close round. I'm surprised that they survived that showstopper for the double kill.
Yeah, I mean, me too. When he activated that and I saw both Rec and kind of Payne get into the same area, I thought, oh, this is going to be it. He's just going to shut it down. But luckily, Payne was able to get out, but not lucky enough to actually win the round out. And so Ookers stay alive and kind of try to stop the bleeding a little bit. But the problem is that IlluZion's, I mean, they're sitting pretty. They've got a Tour de Force and a Blade Storm activated. So, I mean, economy-wise, they're going to be set for a little bit. Now, Kai... The operator is back in his hands. We didn't get to see him do much with it this time, but it doesn't look like they're anticipating the mid aggression that has been so weak for them in this second half.
Yeah, coming out from these attacks, winning the game. It's just giving them so much space here. And look at Geo. He's in their spawn, blinding them. Here is going to be a flashback from the KO to get out, but you don't want to stick around for long. You don't want to be there. Payne getting one. Cairo now anchoring inside a boat, and he's sinking these players down.
Spike down B.
1 and 2, but not 3. With Brady finally getting the trade, this might be a retake available for these defenders. They have this if they just want to push as a team. A little bit of util goes on. The eye in the hands of Rec, but Pond down. There we go. Kai able to take Brady down. And
one enemy remaining.
Up to Kai again. Another pick. Last man standing. I I'm surprised that these retakes are so efficient with Kai. I mean, who retakes an op holding W that confidently?
Well, I mean, a big thing to point out about Ookers, especially in this game so far, is that they seem to like to initiate their retakes right before the spike can go down, which has actually been really helpful for them because it doesn't give IlluZion time to set up. And we've seen that when they get into their post-plant positioning, it's really, really hard for, you know, the opponents to get in. There's not very many cracks. And so I think what Ookers have done to kind of try and work around that is once they know they're in the site, they just immediately start hitting it while, you know, IlluZion is still scrambling a little bit. And because of that, they're now able to stay up. Now, if they can win this round, Edge, there's actually a really good chance that they could tie this game up.
They might be able to tie the game. This is game 1 of a best-of-3 series. There is so much that they are learning about the enemy team and how they're going to play around that kind of matters more than anything else, in my opinion. You know, even if a team doesn't take the W for game 1, they might have more knowledge into the next one, which we kind of have to move into, and that might change how they actually do their team composition, how they play as a team moving forward. And you can tell that knowledge is coming through with more consistency coming on both sides. But that's a lot of spacing with Pain coming forward into Pine, and Pine getting down. Pain, they gotta go there. However, is Kai getting the op down for his team. Rex took him out, and now Zambi's trying to get this going. A little bit of
one enemy remaining.
Wow. Defense bringing it back here.
I mean, really big round for them to win. That should put IlluZion onto an eco here, or, well, it looks like they might actually just be investing into this round, which is, I think, a little bit of a gamble for them, because we have seen over the last 3 rounds, Ookers have become extremely adaptive. I mean, almost any time IlluZion has exposed a weak spot to them, Ookers immediately patch it up. They go, okay, well, we lost over in mid, so we're going to start fighting more for mid. And then once they start doing that and they put IlluZion into default mode, they have a perfect spread. So, I mean, IlluZion is in a really tricky spot here, and it looks like their only answer is to just try to hit A fast.
Yeah, and I think the play is pretty solid here, especially because we've been seeing from defense how good they are at reading if they don't. So, I mean, look at this. It's actually going to bait them all out, and I think we just now realized the fate is like, wait a second, where are we going? And Greg, he's trying to buy some space, but Cairo, he's on top of that box. He's sliding all of them down. That's the power of that little tiny part of Spine. And Cairo, he's going to tell his team, let's rotate. Let's get this mid control. Let's get these guys dead. Let's get them down. Cairo now anchoring it back. Spots attached, and what a shot.
Spike
there
down,
it goes.
B.
Equal amount of skill.
Catch them.
Now, Joseph
Bring them down.
Joseph's not stuck. This no, he could be anywhere, but his ultimate wants to vote with him.
One enemy remaining.
And
I
that is
get
a double
inside
kill
your
down
head?
for these players. What a position to be in. And that's kind of what we love to see. It is going to be a now closer and closer game.
I really, really love that round from Ookers, to be honest. I mean, they put just the right amount of pressure in return on A main to kind of try to force IlluZion back out, which is exactly what happened. But the thing is that Joseph gets into such a good position, and he allows, you know, the rest of his team to create a crossfire with him when they inevitably do decide to push into B. So Cairo is there to support him, and then once Cairo falls, Pawn just teleports right into Boathouse with him, so he's not alone anymore. And I mean, that's how they're able to take that out. Now 4 unanswered rounds, and IlluZion again investing the last of their money into this round. I mean, it's really, you have to win this or you're most likely putting them on match point.
Most likely putting on a match point, but with Brady getting that pick on a Kai, that's kind of what you want to do. Kai has been crucial. He's 23, 16 in bringing this game back for this team. Right now, we got Zambi joined by Pawn to anchor down that A site, and I think we're going to see a big tree push coming in. So the fact of the matter is that we do have and Garden for some time, and that's going to be the popped ult and ult command coming out.
Face your
to get at least one here if he wants to. And that is the man who cannot get revived.
Spike down A.
Down a double kill. These defenders, they want this back. But with Pine, I mean, it's really up to Pine here every single time and getting these multi-kills to bring his...
One enemy remaining.
Last man out, Jen and Joseph from heaven will gun him down. Defenders now successfully tying this up.
Yeah, I mean, IlluZion is just putting their all, I think, into these site hits. I don't think they're necessarily playing it wrong, but the problem is that Ookers have just been finding such superior positioning. We've seen it in almost every single hit, right? They try to hit, certain parts of the play gets broken up, and then before they even get a chance to kind of recover from, you know, from what's happening, you see players from Ookers have already set up for crossfires. We saw it there with Pond, you know, Pond just immediately getting into wine, holding the bomb, and then everybody else is just able to kind of support him from there, and then IlluZion finds himself in a really tricky situation. So now they're just going to try to re-aggress over towards mid because it's worked for them in the past, but the question is it actually going to pay off for them? We can already see Kai going back towards mid, and I think he's anticipating this hit.
I think he's anticipating it as well. Of course, he does have the operator again. And with the op in the hands of Kai, the same with the Tour de Force, it has been shredding these enemies, and it's one of the reasons why he's at such high kill count on his scoreboard. But look at that, the timing of walking away right as they push in. It's all just so ironic and dramatic for these players to now walk away without knowing anything. But can we see it happen with Zambi getting the pick onto Rek, and with Rek now down, these attackers are worried because that was the guy who is able to get the trades every single time for his teammates whenever they went down. But I don't know about it this time here, Disco. And honestly, with Pain, he's only got a Sheriff.
Yeah, and Geo's very low as well. And they're going right into this stack here. I think that Ookers is going to be completely ready for this. And as soon as they try to go out through tree, we should see a blind coming out, which is exactly what happens here. And that's going to break up the play almost immediately.
Oh, and broken up the play is Zambi getting a 4K. And Pond immediately finishing it off. A flawless round for defenders. Barely any damage taken. A man gets 4 kills and only takes 20 damage. And that's what you call a sweep.
Yeah, I mean, Ookers have just completely taken over this half. I mean, what is that? 6 unanswered rounds, and it was starting to look really good for IlluZion now, and they do have a shot at bringing this into OT. They've got a lot of rifles in hand, but not really much else to work with. A null command is available for Zambi as well as a showstopper for Cairo, who, surprisingly, going with an operator by this round. How do you feel about that?
You know, I feel like having an op on this attack here, or on the defense with Cairo, having the double op could actually sell Doom for them. They need the range, but we also have to hand it to people like Zambi and Pond, who are always good for multiple kills. So let's see what's going to happen with now a full mid rotate coming out from Brady. I mean, he's got what he needs to do to try to get some info, but I mean, what can you really do against this? They know that there's going to be an op staring them down, but they don't know from which angle. They don't know where the chamber is, and they have no idea that Cairo's got one either. So let's see this push coming in.
They seem very lost here, but this could be the engagement that wins it out. Oh, great Prowler coming out. Is going to get a huge amount of information for him.
Oh, but Cairo, putting all of his eggs in the op basket, will instead be absolutely one tap away by Rek through the wall. And now, let's see what can happen from Joseph. They know that he's boat. He's been boat every single time. But even if they know where Joseph is, has that actually impacted how they're going to play it? With Joseph getting himself 2 picks down, and he's still ready to get some more. In Boathouse, he's on a 4. He needs the 5th to ace this and end the game. But Pond is going to be the one instead. Honestly, you know where the fade is, but you're just going to fade away to him. 4 kills down, and that's game 1 on Ascent given over. I mean, Ookers bringing it back there so heavily, not even allowing a match point to a potential overtime at the end. And again, with this map going on for so long, so much knowledge has been gained. And now that we're moving on to the next map here, anything is going to be happening. And of course, we're going to find out how long these players are ready to go for it. Disco, tell me how you felt about that game.
I mean, honestly, Ookers really just impressed me. It started to feel like they were not really in control, that they didn't have any of the tempo that they needed to win that map. But, you know, of course, they were just able to, they found the switch and they were able to turn it on and just immediately start adapting. I mean, Joseph, you know, only 13 and 16, but we saw the impact from his positioning. I mean, like, obviously very smart, very intelligent player, knows what to do. And when he gets into that spot, he's absolutely unstoppable. Meanwhile, Kai and Zambi just also bringing it in for their team. So I'm really interested to see how they're going to, you know, measure out in this next one. Obviously, this is best of 3, so there is a shot for IlluZion to bring this back. And map 2 is going to be Haven, which I do think might actually lend itself to IlluZion's play style a little bit.
Yeah, and you know, map 2 being that haven, it's something that you kind of want to see. It's a lot of split up search for clues, and I think we are going to see a little bit of a switch of course, who's going to be ready to go. You know, and I think we just want to hop into this next game here if these players are ready. But again, a map like Haven, you know, after learning so much about the enemies, as I've kind of hit home over and over again, Haven is a map where, if you know, on Ascent, they like to default. They like to split up and go all the way to the other site. That will tell you that they're going to do the C to A strat. If they like pushing down mid so much, I'm thinking that they want to focus on that B, because it kind of translates a little bit. How they could take control over a small amount of space matters the most. But once this team's ready, we'll be back here with Agent Select, of course. And honestly, thinking about it, I'm ready and excited for it. But let's cut to a quick commercial break, just a little bit, so everyone can get some water, get some snacks, and be ready to have some fun here. So Disco, thanks for casting with me. We'll see you guys in game 2. IGLeague. This is game 2 of the semi-quarterfinals, as we like to see it, and we're looking to see who's going to be making it to the next game in the quarterfinals. Of course, we're seeing these two teams, IlluZion versus Ookers. Ookers took a pretty dominant retaking of the momentum towards the end, winning so many in a row, kind of crushing the odds of an overtime, and now they're on Haven. I'm joined by Disco. My name's Edu. Disco, how you feeling about the map Haven?
Well, first of all, this is probably one of my favorite maps to watch. But what I'm really curious about is not only the Raze pick over for the side of IlluZion, which I do think is kind of a you know, a fringe pick on this map, but also the decision to go with the Sage. Now, there's a big issue with this, Edgy, and I don't know if you or maybe the viewers have caught this, but no flashes, a 0 flash composition for them on a map like Haven, where you might more commonly see even like triple initiator comps that rely heavily on flashes. This might spell danger out for IlluZion. Now, obviously, they must have a plan going into this. I can't imagine that they wouldn't, but I mean, already we can see that the drastic difference between the compositions here for both teams, I think it says a lot about the matchup that we're about to see.
Yeah, a very close game from last time, but the fact is you need flashes on Haven, and Breach is insanely good on Haven, especially because it's flashbangs. The amount of times I've seen the sun before I get mowed down by a Breach just holding W on C site is way too many to count, and you know, it hurts. It hurts to have that happen to you, and the fact that they can't give that, and instead they're going for a much more defensive heavy team composition. The Sage double Sentinel instead of any initiator at all, outside of Fade, and Fade no flashbangs, going for the blind if they hit a dog. That's the only thing that's really going to impact someone's vision here, and you know, that gives a bad vision for the future.
Well, I think that, you know, it looks like their plan is to, once they get into the site, to just lock it down, right? Like that's the whole idea. They have the Astra, which I think is a great pick. The Sage is probably just there to help them stabilize. But the real concern for me is, how do they get into the site? You know, I mean, that's why the flashes pay off so much. So we'll have to see what their strategy going into this. We did see IlluZion on the last map. They did like to play very aggressively, but I don't know if this is going to be the right composition to kind of complement that style. So we'll have to see how this plays out. It looks like they are just going to try to set up for some A aggression, but meanwhile, we can already see Cairo and Joseph here ready to accept it.
Yeah, I mean, a beautiful push so far from these gamers, and of course, knowing how this A site wants to get pushed, let's find out with Attached leading the charge, waiting out all this util, and that already is going to say, hey guys, they're at A. And Breach, he's the kind of guy to rotate. He's the man in the middle, the link of the game. Cairo, he's got himself a ghost, he's got himself a nade, and a bot. This is a full buy for a Raze composition, and he wants to try to get Brady down, and that's going to be a clean shot from Joseph on him. Here comes a little bit of util, and there it is. The nades, beautiful job, but there's Payton. What a flick! Honestly, that's why you don't need flashbangs. Who cares if they can see me? I'm faster at clicking their heads, and there's the wall going down. I think this might be it. The reason why it worked is because their post plant is just so strong. So if they can get Payne do this to get him onto the site, they will win the round, because you don't really need a flashbang if they have to get through walls, get through smokes, and get through so much sentinel utility.
Yeah, I mean that's essentially what I thought was going to happen. Once they get into the site, they're going to utilize those slow orbs. They're going to utilize the barrier, to just try and keep as people out of the site for as long as they can. And while it did work out for them that time, I do think it was a little bit of a fault towards Ookers. I mean, they just kind of double faced the player in sewers and allowed for the rest of the team to just sort of waltz right into A site. Now it worked out for them that round, and we might see it pay off for them again here in this anti-eco. But I can't be certain that it's going to work for them as soon as Ookers tries, tends to figure out, what they need to do.
This entire strategy for IlluZion here is 100% based on if they can get the initial pick. If they get it, they win the round. If they don't, they're just gonna get pushed off. And wait, that's not hitting Brady? What? He is inside of the aftershock, taking no damage. And there we go, though. Cairo able to get wrecked down. And this is kind of a great play from IlluZion, trying to just keep it going with the fact that this was a buy round. But Gio, he's got 1, he's got 2, making it a total of 3. But real talk, how did he plant the bomb there?
Yeah, I don't know. I was, I thought as I was watching it, like, oh, okay, Brady's just gonna give up his life for the Bugs Plant. I guess that's questionable, but I guess, pixel perfect. Sometimes things just don't always hit. But now, look at that. We're going into a rifle round. There's a couple rifles in the hands of IlluZion, but like I said, Ookers has showed us that they're really good at adapting, and once a team kind of starts exposing their weaknesses, it just makes them stronger and stronger. So I'm really interested to see how this round is going to play out for them in the future rounds, because IlluZion tend to be a little bit one-dimensional at times.
It's hard to be one-dimensional, especially it's kind of one-dimensional with no flashes, no initiation that really gets you on the point. But look at what they're doing. As I say, IlluZion loved pushing mid every single time on Ascent, and it's translated to the mid push onto B. It's kind of the strategy of just be as fast as humanly possible, and it is a Hail Mary of a strategy. This IGL definitely is saying, hey guys, it is going to need something creative, something different, because last time it just didn't work out. But back to the matter. These attackers, they're low, they're pushed off, and the spike is down in the middle of B. Their plan has come against them. And yes, this is a buy round for the attackers as well. They did buy both a Phantom and a Vandal. So if they lose this, their economy's not going to be looking too good. But Pawn, 25 HP, looking there, but does he even expect a swing coming out from this right here? And that's right, it's a double down. Zambi able to get 1, wreck the other. They're bringing this game back, and they're pushing it harder, but there's Joseph getting a clean 1-tap, waiting for his teammate to get more. Cairo gets 1. It's a Bulldog versus a Phantom, and there it is. Joseph headshot all the way, but so many guns were lost for these defenders, and that's their buy round. So yes, they're still able to buy here just enough, but it's still incredibly risky. And now these attackers, it's their turn to buy some rifles.
Yeah, it's definitely not the round that you want to see out of Ookers there. I mean, only having one person carry a rifle into the next round is very bad. And I also don't think that their decision to hold the spike the way that they did, with Pawn just being so exposed there with such low HP, I don't think that was the right play, and we saw them immediately get punished for it. So IlluZion now, they kind of have the advantage here, but the real question is, are Ookers going to be able to, convert these 3 Spectres into some wins for them? And right now, A site's fairly open as IlluZion looks to maybe potentially go that way, and now Ookers have reset, so we'll have to see how this plays out. It looks like IlluZion just going to be going for a bit of a contact play, and if this pays off, they might actually catch these 2 off guard.
Yeah, I think that's the plan here. If you catch these guys off, you might be able to just keep it going, keep pushing it up. The nade now coming out, lots of damage being dealt to Zambi, but you've already used one of your satchels to push yourself away from the site. How are you guys actually going to entry here? It's going to be just constantly back and forth, defaulting, hoping that the defenders waste too much util until they can get onto the site. Because the second they are having utility advantage, they might be able to get in, and the double sentinel play really comes through. But I don't know. It's a risk that they're kind of wanting to calculate out here. And of course, pushing through grass into garage or B, you're going to get that trip. You're going to give away information.
Yeah, and Ookers is actually ready for this. They used the utility perfectly to try to slow down the push, and now, the remaining 2 players can be over here to hopefully deny this plant. We saw them in the past. They're really good at initiating these retakes before the spike can go down, and the question is, are they going to be able to do it again this time around?
I mean, Pond is giving that a shot, you know, going in before the spike goes down, but he's not getting the wall bang down, just barely missing onto Pain. But this is the Astral Divide. Already round 4, we're seeing the Divide coming out just because we're seeing Geo really pop off there, 5-1, and attach. He's ready to anchor it back, but look at that, he's spotted, and they know where he is, but it's a bulletproof wall, and that's an ultimate from Cairo, and they're just taking it all back. The power of having flashbangs is why the retake works, but what a shot from Rek! I think he's ready for more, but unfortunately, he's only going to get a body that time. And Cairo, I mean, hand it to Rek. Being able to just have the muscle memory to hit that shot, quite nice. Still, though, I'm just seeing a little bit of disappointment. That was where these attackers have their composition do the best, and it's still not good enough because it's Haven.
I mean, and also the fact that Ookers, I think, just played around that Cosmic Divide so perfectly, and we saw, you know, the value out of like those flashpoints from Breach, and, you know, allowed them to just kind of play in and out of that wall and get so much value out of not just that utility, but also the haunt coming out from Joseph as well. It just enabled them to get in so quickly. And so, again, I think IlluZion needs to maybe default a little bit more, or maybe challenge for more of the map control, because when you see them group up like that, it allows Ookers to just get in the perfect positions to deny a lot of these site holds.
Yeah, and you want to try to keep these guys off the site. That's really all you have to do, because if they can't touch the site, their entire team composition throws it out of the window. But look at what we got from Joseph. He spots one, and he needs to now send some info, try to get another one down. But honestly, this is what we love seeing from Pond. He's up on top of a box looking for more. Kai's going to get one, and it's just going to be 3 against 2. And they have no mobility on this team composition right now. It's just aim duels, aim duels, aim duels, swing it out, and who's going to pop and swing and pop off. Right now, of course, we have a beautiful push by the Fade, and there is Attach getting one, but the spray just read that perfectly, and the last man is going to be Attach. Heal yourself, but you're about to get absolutely demolished unless this Sheriff in your hands, a Mage Punk, can cast a spell that makes you win it. Can't we see it happen today? A little bit of a swing, a little bit of a peek, and it's a little bit of damage, but there's Pond. Headshots down.
A really good spread from Ookers into that round. I mean, great positioning to start, but also the way that they spend their utility and the way that they just get the information off of even just like a little jiggle peek forces IlluZion just right into their plays. I mean, we saw in the last map, they obviously have some good trap plays set up. It's no surprise to see them set up to do them here on Haven as well. And so now IlluZion has rifles in hands. They're going to have to try to find a way around this. A Resurrection online as well as a Showstopper and the Nightmare. So, I mean, there's a chance that they can turn this around, but the problem is that Ookers seems to be really in control of the tempo here, and IlluZion need to try to break that up if they want to have any shot at taking these sites.
If they want anything, they're gonna have to just be aggressive. And again, all of the pressure is on Pain. He's the only man to get onto the point, and they need to have him get on there. And the fact is, they just kept holding the W key, and they got it using slight utility dumpage. In that, it's kind of funny. I've never really expected to see nothing really happen with no flashbangs, but we're looking at Cairo here, and Pain getting one, a little bit of an insta-res, but here we go. This is all winnable. And a beautiful shot onto Rek on the way down. Nade now coming out, and there we go. Pond gets the pick. Now, it's just up to Joseph. 1v5. We're really seeing, I mean, I don't understand. I don't understand how a team without flashbangs can be so consistent in getting themselves on a site. It's just, I mean, if you are the defensive team right now, you know retaking is going to be more difficult because of the double sentinel, but you also know that these guys are ready to go, but they are going to see if we can get a little bit of a pause match timer, and you know, little tech pause coming around. And as I was saying, you know, while we're in this little tech pause, what these defenders need to do is make sure that they're not running away from sight, because the second they get either the chamber or the sage down, the retake is dramatically easier. That's what they kind of want to do, even if it's a 1-for-1 trade, which you normally don't want on the defense, because you still have the flashbangs on Breach. You can afford to lose one to take out a sentinel. If you can pick off that player, you will be winning the game every time on retake. So I'm hoping that they just sit down and anchor, because if they start playing around, falling back and playing a retake against this team composition, they're gonna lose.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. And we've seen that. I mean, like the main strategy for IlluZion here and taking the site is to just full face it and just try to do as much force as possible, util dump to get into the site off of their aggressors, which it works. But the problem is that you can invest so much into it, and if you don't end up getting the site, you're essentially, you've been put into a position now where you're not going to have the same resources that you had available before to take the site either again or to go to a different site. So as soon as Ookers are able to, kind of figure that out and learn how to slow them down, it's going to start falling apart for IlluZion. And we've already seen that Ookers is very good at making those adaptive changes. We saw them do it in the last map, and we can watch them do it again here, almost guaranteed. They're going to figure this out, and they're going to start exposing all of these weaknesses. And once that happens, they're going to run away with this game.
Yeah, and you're going to see a little bit of a runaway coming out with Kai just going down. Again, you got to let these people with no flashbangs come to you, and right now they're going to them, and that is causing a big discrepancy of just everyone getting gunned down, and it's happening again and again and again. They're trying their best, but it's such a risk coming in, and of course, right now the bomb is going to get planted, and this is a 5 against 2 with a retake. Yes, they have the Rolling Thunder, but if Zambi uses it, it's a waste. They have to just go for some picks, get rid of some guns. And unfortunately, Zambi is going to be getting rid of some guns, but it's his own. With now Cairo, the last man standing in a 1 against 5. Disco, do you think that he's able to get rid of guns, or is he just going to go the way of the Zambi and get him buried?
I mean, I think if you're Cairo here, the best option that you can do is just try to get into the next round with this Vandal. I mean, the rest of your team invested so much into this round, and nobody's gonna be able to buy a next round. So I don't think it's worth it to try to go for any exits, and he should only really take them if they come to him. And it looks like that's gonna be potentially what's going on here.
And there we go. Cairo is able to get 1 and 2. That is important that he can get those shut down, but the fact of the matter is that he still does not have a lot of cash, and because he took some damage, he's gonna have to buy armor here, and that's gonna put him back a little bit. He's actually gonna go for light armor instead of full armor, keeping himself at 2k so he can buy for next. Smart play, but not a lot
wise
to work with. And honestly though, he's up against all Vandals. If this entire team goes light armor, they don't have to worry about it, because Vandals is a 1-tap from any distance. Like having that armor difference doesn't quite matter, except for utility damage and a phantom.
I do just want to say I really like the way that IlluZion played last round. They've been doing a lot of conditioning and these, I think these very straightforward site hits. They were able to sell a fake over on B and take advantage of the fact that Ookers has been rotating very quickly, and it looks like they're going to do something similar. This time, I think just commit to the B side as Payne gets an opener there with the showstopper.
But Payne's not able to look down and get himself a free pick. Kai immediately getting the trade. This could be a thrifty round here, and let's see if it's going to be able to happen. The nade now coming down, and that is Brady getting gunned down, leaving only Wreck, and he is going to get wrecked as well. I mean, the fact of the matter is that we saw Payne do what he had to do, get his team on a site, but the fact that he didn't check that one corner and allowed the Fade to live so long, that is what kind of won the round. But that's a showstopper used and not capitalized on.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big investment into the round, and now it's going to be a while before they can get something like that again. Tour de Force is available for Rec, and Geo is only 1 away from that Cosmic Divide, but again, we saw how that Cosmic Divide played out for Ookers. I mean, they were able to play around it almost flawlessly, and I think IlluZion's, the best round that I've seen from them so far is when they were able to sell a fake. I think we should be seeing more like that. Like we've pointed out, they don't have the proper tools to entry that a lot of other team compositions might have, so they need to try and sell rotations out of Ookers in order to get into the site and still have a lot of utility left to, kind of maintain or just prevent as much of a retake as Ookers as they possibly can.
Yeah, you want to try to prevent the retake here. And again, that is the entire goal of this team composition. No flashbangs. And again, if they get that retake power, they got this. But with where Pawn has been positioning himself, he knows that he's going to get shot in the back of the head, apparently. Payne, though, nade coming out, Rec getting one, Zambi holding this back. He's got to stay alive, but the flashbangs coming out, pushing this team away, allowing him to buy some time. That's going to get him gunned down, and Payne's for the trade. Kai's going for it, and Payne's going down, but look at these sprays! A triple kill down, and that is a showstopper. Can we find the last one? We can. Defenders retaking it beautifully because that spray down from Kai.
My God, how did Ookers win that round? I mean, they did not not have anybody or any utility holding down Garage. It allowed Pawn to just get, you know, completely taken for free, unable to be traded. Zambi is anchoring down C site, does not invest a Rolling Thunder in what I feel like would have been the perfect time to do it. And still, at the end of the day, they're able to get it. They're able to get that retake off the back of Kai's amazing skill. He's just going to be able to spray down 3. It won't work out like that for them every single round, or at least you certainly hope not at this level. But now IlluZion on an eco, 4 sheriffs in hand. Tour de force should be activated here for Rec, and we'll have to see if they're able to pull it off. It looks like they're just going for a little bit of a default here.
You know, just going for a slight amount of default. Of course, Pain, he can't afford. None of his team can. Except for Rec, who is, instead of buying one of his teammates with 4,200, he's going with the Tour de Force, and that non-hero rifle on this round might be a risk, but honestly, with Brady now getting shut down by Joseph, it's gonna be pretty much sold here. There goes Rec, his armor purchase gone to nothing. But maybe he's saving up for an op on the attack next round. I mean, it's a questionable play for the economy, and Attach now moving forward is gonna get all 3 of them in one shot. What a position to go for. I wish we could see his perspective there, but my God, that was a fast way to end a round.
Yeah, so I mean, Ookers obviously activated here a little bit, and they've tightened up how they're holding these sites. We saw, you know, IlluZion do a similar thing on the pistol round, but already Kai was there ready for them. They've made the adjustments that they need to make, and they were able to shut that play down. Now, again, looking like they're just going to try to gamble over towards C, which, I mean, Edge, that might not be the play, because it looks like they might just be trying to go again for another A hit, or just pressure down mid. We'll have to see how this plays out and whether or not Ookers actually has a backup plan for this.
Yeah, trying to find out if they do have that backup plan. And I mean, Ookers' backup plan is just one-tapping. And it's working. You know, it's plan A to Z right now. Is click on head. And that's kind of all you got to do if you're on this team composition. Yes, you got a lot of util coming out, but here's a backup plan. Rolling Thunder retake. That's powerful. And I think it might be what we're going to see right here, right now. All the Rolling Thunder pushing them out. And there's the nade onto Cairo. But it actually hits his teammate. And there's the nade taking him down. And that is it for Attach getting another pick on a Kai. 3 against 3. The push is coming out. And it's just going to be a guns versus guns. The retake is so hard against this team comp.
Yeah, that was actually a really excellent sight hold. And even though the paint shells doesn't really hit its mark, it ends up finding some value regardless. So really well played from IlluZion there. And now the Rolling Thunder has been invested. That being said, we do have the Nightfall available for Joseph as well. So there is a chance that they could walk out of this, you know, in 7-5 fashion, which I think is going to be very good for them, because we can already see that Ookers team comp is much more geared towards their attack side. That being said, having the double sentinel on the defense could pose a lot of difficult scenarios for them. So we'll have to see how this one plays out. The operator in the hands of Cairo here again would be a very interesting play, but it looks like the rest of IlluZion is just going to opt for some pressure over towards Garage, most likely going to end in a C split.
Yeah, and splitting off onto C, you kind of have seen that happen a lot, but I'm surprised they're not hitting up A again. They have the Showstopper, they have the Sage ult in case Pain goes down trying it. It's kind of a push that I'd like to see here, but right now they're defaulting. They're looking out for util, they're looking out for damage, and they're looking out for maybe even picks. But it's difficult, especially since Sage has already taken a few, and Cairo anchoring this back with the op. He is not able to hit the shot off, and of course, he is now telling his team, rotate please. I only got an op. It's hard to hold these corners.
They're giving up a lot of space here, Edge. I mean, are they anticipating a potential fake here, or they're just going straight for the pinch?
I think they're going straight for the pinch, but that is going to get given away. And here's why. Pain with the Showstopper. Maybe he's tapped in my comms. He just knows exactly what's going to happen with Rec getting one before Joseph immediately getting the trade. But here we go. A little bit of a nightmare coming out, and Pain is getting down. This is what we like to see. A 3 against 2. They know that there are 2 on site, 1 in hell. And there it is. Brady gets 1. Kai gets the headshot, and they're looking for the man, and they're going to gut it down. That is going to be the end of the last round here. Every single ult being used except for the resurrection from the Sage.
I mean, that was a beautiful retake from Ookers. They did exactly what they should have done. They they conceded the space, and then they waited for the pressure to come in from the flank, and that allowed them to just completely crunch IlluZion on that. So great. I mean, perfect half for them, right? We got them up 7 rounds. Now they get to be on the attack, which seems more geared towards their comp, like I said. But still, we have to be curious about how IlluZion is going to handle this. We've seen them. They're very aggressive style play, but on defense, this is not an aggressive style composition. So are they going to, are they going to do what we've seen them do in the past and just kind of push out and look for early picks? Or are they just going to try to lock down the sites before anybody can get in? And if they are going to do that, does Ookers have the answer for it?
I think Ookers could try their best to really just move as a team here to shut down any aggressive play, because we know Pain, he wants it, and you already are seeing that. He is anchoring it down in Garage, a double Garage play. It's very common on Pistol, because on Pistol you want to try to cut that distance, make sure that the Classic can 1-tap instead of 2 or 3-tap in the Ghost, of course. But Rec, he's looking around, trying to find anybody in Garage. He always has that TP to fall back to in Link, and A site is getting split off here. Making a 1-for-1 for the Pistol, that's going to be a little bit of damage, and maybe they might not assume things, but that is a headshot in it. 22 HP on Rec. He might want to run over to his Sage coming around CT. That could be a heal, and that might bring him back up to enough so he can take another headshot. But honestly, this is looking pretty good for these attackers so far. They've gotten a lot of info just by this slow and early push, and the fact of the matter is, a Sage wall on B is not going to stop them from still wanting to take it.
It's been really well played from Ookers. They've kept tempo almost perfectly. They anticipated the the aggression, which they were able to get a slight punishment out for. And now look, A is completely free for them. They should be able to get the spike down. But the question is, Kai going to get caught off guard here, or will he catch someone off guard?
I think he is going to catch someone off guard, but then he's going to get caught off guard. But unfortunately, he's not going to get caught quite yet. That's attached now, swinging around, getting the pick, and it's a 4v4 retake. And I think the attackers really do have the advantage right now, especially since there's just so much info. They got blinds, they got flashbangs, they got anything that could push them off the site. Cairo looking to see somebody, and Brady, he's just gonna get a 1-tap down, but this is a big retake, and everybody's getting gunned down by Zambi, and that's gonna be one more. He's gonna go for the retake. He's got one jumping right-click shot, but can he clutch it? Can he get it? He's 22 HP. The Classic is great with the right-click, but he's just playing around time. Ring around the Rosie. Pocket full of headshots. Clutch up for this man, Zambi.
Wow, that's an incredible round from Zambi to carry them into the W there. And to be honest, it was looking really good for them. Obviously, IlluZion had a really strong retake there, but I mean, a lot of mistakes made by IlluZion into that round. I think spending a lot of utility too early into the round, and Ookers was just able to control the tempo there. And luckily for them, Zambi's able to convert that into a win, even though they did lose a lot of folks. So again, IlluZion, I think they just need to play a little bit more reactionary going into these rounds. They can't just spend everything all in the beginning of the round in anticipation for a site hit. We need to see them use this utility in a way where they're going to find more value. Now Ookers on an anti-eco buy, they should be able to take this round. 2 shorties in the hands of IlluZions could pay off if they decide to go that way, but it looks like the hit might just be coming over towards A.
One thing I do want to ask is, what did Rec buy? He doesn't have, I think he just full-on sent it on the Headhunters, and with the new nerf, that is risky, and I don't know if that was the smartest play. The fact of the matter is he's not going to be able to buy next round, and I think he just wants to try to get some picks, maybe start building up his ultimate, but that might be a misplay. And him pushing up grass 7 rounds in his Headhunter on round 2, he wants something from it, and he's gonna have to make it pay off, maybe pay back his student loans, because he just took a lot of debt with this play, and that is going to get it. That's why he puts in the money, because he knows what pays it forward. He knows how the market goes up and down, and the headshots go everywhere. But now a little bit of a shorty coming out. Disco, you said this game was gonna be easy, but that is the weirdest Thrifty I've ever seen be so clutch.
I mean, a really great default from IlluZion there. They had the shorties geared up over towards C and Garage. And, only one player over towards A, but because it was Sage, and because Sage offers so much stopping power, it forced the rest of Ookers to decide to go over towards C right into the shorty stack. And not only that, Kai had taken so much space up in mid and is able to convert that into 2 kills. So again, seeing a lot of the punishment for not having map control on a map like Haven, it's a really big deal. You're going to need to be able to control more, at the very least mid.
Mid definitely where you want to try to focus here. You don't want to lose anything, and I think they might actually get pushed back though with Pain able to take out Pond. These attackers, they should not have lost last round, and they did, and they're panicking from it. We do have a lot of DPS coming out for these gamers. They of course attach. He wants it, he needs it, and he can't get it onto Kai. But just because Kai didn't die does not mean that it's not over for the man. But look at Cairo, he's behind it, and do they even know that there's been a fade anchoring on the staircase to their right? If he starts peeking it and they don't check it, they're screwed. But Brady's not making any noise. But there's the counter. He's able to find one, but that's an immediate trade. And the fact of the matter is a gun is a gun and a down is a down. Kai is going to go away, but Sheriff is the last weapon in hand. I feel like he needs to try to save as much util as possible and just get these picks out of their hands. Oh, and that's going to be one, and it works out. Payne getting gunned down. I mean, very painful for him, but this is now 8-7, a game a lot closer than I would have expected it, especially since that thrifty round is still in my mind, man.
Yeah, I mean, it was just really well played from IlluZion, and they're able to get out of this on, you know, really not losing much. Their economy is going to be in such a good spot, and Rec already just going for that round 4 operator. Rifle's in the hands of Ookers, so there is a shot for them to be able to pull this one back, but what we need to see is just, first of all, they need to find these early round, you know, engagements. They need to find those picks. Last time they were punished for not, you know, fighting mid, and by the time they realized that it was time to fight mid, they're already at a gun disadvantage here. So will they be able to adapt in so many ways that we've seen them do in the past, or are they just going to fall prey to the same weaknesses that IlluZion's been able to expose from them?
Yeah, I mean, there is just so much I love about the team comp here. I've kind of grown to like it for these defenders. With Rec hitting that shot onto Pond, it's looking good. These attackers, they're kind of not sure how they're going to push up, and Rec is ready to wreck some more. He has that op already on round 4. Can he actually get it, though, with Cairo trying to push in, trying to do some damage, and honestly, Disco, looking at this default happening, losing an Omen, that's your controller. What's the next logical play here?
Well, you know, if they had actually had some aggression over towards mid or had any map control here, that should have opened it up for them a lot more. But we can already see that the B site is fairly open. Obviously, there is a trip here, which will give away their position once they decide to hit this. But the site should be free. That being said, the Rolling Thunder is online for Zambi, so they might be able to stabilize once they actually get this. And this push over into A Link is actually, I think, a really good one as well. It's now put the rest of IlluZion over on A, kind of in a tricky position.
Yeah, kind of in a tricky position. Lots of damage coming out so far by Joseph onto Brady. And honestly, I think these attackers might be able to keep this up. This is, of course, their buy round, and that's a clean shot, but you can't turn away quite yet. Kai attaches there. The op, however, is going to be down. Payne now pushing forward, takes a lot of damage to the noggin. And, you know, even though his brain might have a hole in it, it's okay, because this is now a Rolling Thunder. Shooting him up, shooting him down. We got Cairo able to track it, and the last man standing, of course, Geo. But is Geo going to be the guy to clutch it up? Of course, the satchel charge, the stun, so much utility just forcing him to kind of stick here. And the bomb, it's going to explode no matter what. And I think Geo will go down to it if he's not fast enough, getting into a nice safe spot, but he is. And Zambi, however, he's not faster. He ain't Usain Bolt, and he can't run a marathon.
Yeah, it's actually a really good round from Ookers to be able to secure the bomb site there. I think a little bit lucky that IlluZion kind of left that site a little open. They went for the stack over towards A, so it paid off for Ookers. They are able to take the round, but again, not really doing it in a fashion that we'd like to see them in, you know, doing it in. Not taking out all the guns with them, only one rifle carried over, and now IlluZion still looking pretty good. They've got some money to work with here, an operator going back in the hands of Rec. This could be a good round for them, but if Ookers is able to take this, it should allow some of the momentum to build up for them. We can already see the split towards C going, but Rec is just going to immediately shut that down.
You know, Kai getting gunned down. He's getting a little bit of chamber diff recently. Every time he's peeking the man, he's going to get gunned down. And speaking of diffs, there's the raise diff coming out. Each player being a little bit better than the next, but Joseph and Zambi finally leveling the playing field before Rec has something to say about it. But right before Rec dies, he gets his third pick. And now it's just going to be a 1-against-2. But Zambi's clutched these before. He still has his aftershock, and he's confident that if anybody tries to push him, he will hit them down. But the problem as well is this is a res capability, and of course they're going to be getting it. I would honestly not be shocked if these defenders were to res and maybe even try to get the operator and an additional gun for economy, because they're kind of looking broke right now.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good move, but it looks like they are just going to opt to hold on to that, you know, just make sure that they can use it probably in a situation where it can help them swing around that they particularly need to win. They are going to grab the op, so that investment is not gone. Meanwhile, Ookers, they're not working with much here. It looks like they're just kind of spreading out the scraps. One rifle going into the hand of Joseph, who we've seen can be a very impactful player, but Pond, he's not been having a great game this time around. 3 and 13. I mean, obviously his utility is paying off for them, but they seem to be struggling to find the answers here. The sight hits seem to be strong, but the retake from illusions have just been so powerful and so well executed too.
Yeah, the retake powers are just coming out, and they're just working for some odd reason. It's definitely hard to say, but looking at Cairo trying to push in, getting himself stunned, but even while concussed, he gets one. Zambi with the other. The Frenzy really turning up strong here, and this is, of course, going to be a moderate round to buy. So the fact that they're getting all these guns for relatively free is insanity to me, but with Cairo, he's got a showstopper with 2 remaining. Rek has that op, and he's kind of just bringing it right to these enemies. Honestly, with his team being so low on funds, it's a risk pushing this. And if Joseph is about to do what I think, nothing is going to happen from it. I mean, Rek just checks that. The res is coming back, but that's going to be the ultimate coming down, and that's got to hurt for your KD. I mean, you know, like getting that and then immediately having your Sage die, that's got to be not cash money. Rek now ready here. Are you going to get peeked? And oh, you whiff the shot. And it's the Frenzy. A 3K down with 1 Frenzy and a showstopper. MVP of the match. Cairo now having a newfound operator.
It's actually a really strong sight hit coming out from Ookers there. They just kind of expose, you know, a lot of their weaknesses in Garage, as well as a really well-placed fault line from Zambi to help Cairo get that pick with the Frenzy. Not only that, they anticipated the resurrection coming out from Attach, and he's going to use the showstopper to convert a win onto that. So really good round for them to take. IlluZion now kind of put on the back foot a little bit, but 3 ultimates online for them. The Nightfall, the showstopper, and the Tour de Force should be activated here at the beginning of the round just to try and hopefully get a couple early picks for them as the Ookers just try to go for some early A aggression.
A little bit of early A aggression goes a long way, and that's why. I mean, there's the immediate trade. The spike is going to go down, but here's the thing. They're on an eco round in Attach. He doesn't get a Tour de Force. He's a Sage. He might be able to pop a wall down, but I mean, these guys have guns. They'll just break it right through. The wall is not as strong as it used to be, and it definitely does get gunned down a lot faster than most, but with a Sheriff in hand, Attach has been very crispy with it, and he is wanting to give in some law and order onto these attackers now trying to push him. They've already lost the chamber, or no, the Fade, but you know, losing a Fade, they got double initiator, they got the breach still, so it doesn't really impact as much as losing a player like Rek.
Now, it looks like Ookers might just be reconsidering what they want to do here. We can see that they're going to keep Zambi here for, you know, any potential, you know, flank through A, while the rest of them just try to re-clear mid. Now, Gio's going to be in a very peculiar position here, and if they're not able to clear him out with this Roomba, that should be pretty dangerous for them, because he does have the Judge in hand, and that's always a really bad spot to be. But it looks like they are just going to try to go back towards A and use the utility to force the rotates out, and that should be a free A site for them.
That should be a free A site, and an incredibly hard one to retake unless we might see a showstopper coming out. But I mean, it's a possibility, and that's a showstopper possibility always starts from heaven here. So can we see it? Absolutely not. Kai says he will die. Pain goes down. And now Kai is ready for some more. He's got that op, but he's also taking a lot of shots. And here is the swing. That's going to be the body. 3 down. And there he is. He is going to join the people he has murdered. And now Brady, he's ready to try to get some more. He's not just good for one. With Gio having that Judge, he is not going to be able to get anything. Brady going for it. And unfortunately, Zambi, he's down and getting the headshot.
I actually really like that round from Ookers there. I mean, maybe a little bit of a fault for IlluZion for giving up the A side as freely as they did, but, you know, they heard some footsteps going over towards mid. Roomba comes out and puts a pressure on Gio, who's just kind of holding this corner with the Judge, and, you know, that opens up the A site for him. They're able to just waltz right in, get the plant down, and then once they're in, you know, easily stabilize, especially off the back of Zambi, who's just been performing out of his mind so far. Only 14 and 12, but a lot of impact in those 14 kills. So, again, Ookers to have the lead here, 3 rounds, rifles in the hands of IlluZion. They're going to have to try and slow this down, as it looks like the rest of Ookers are just going to opt to pressure mid, potentially go through garage into a 3-man stack.
Yeah, and the one thing we have to mention here, you know, Ookers, they did take it back on the very end in the latter half of Ascent, so they're only needing one to take this game and send these guys to the loser bracket. So you got to be stressing out right now if you were this team. Of course, I don't really know how to feel about, you know, IlluZion. They're trying their best, but their best might not just be good enough. With Rec, when he gets shut down, allows their entire team to push up, but something might be changing here. Of course, the buy round coming out for these defenders, and they do have 3 ultimates. The showstopper now coming out. Here's the ultimate, and is it going to be able to get connected? And it is not. They work together to mow it down. Kai getting attached, Joseph getting Geo, and it's all up to the 2 remaining. Brady joined by Rec, and honestly, they have to get it. They can't risk this round ending, because then they're broke again. They have to try to clutch this up. Rec, you gotta go for it.
I mean, it looks like Rec is just going to be able to most likely find one here, unless the timing gods are completely against him, which is not the case. He will be able to find one. Zambi immediately trading him out. Now Ookers, they're on match point, and you know, that's not the position that you want to be in if you're IlluZion. You've invested so much into that last round, and you don't have a lot to work with here. Meanwhile, Ookers have a Nightfall and a Rolling Thunder. I mean, those are 2 huge rounds, or sorry, 2 huge ultimates that can allow them to swing this round in their favor if they use them in the right places. The question is, are they going to use them to hit the site, or use them to stabilize once they're on the site? Meanwhile, it looks like IlluZion is looking to just try and pressure mid almost immediately and shut down any sort of chance at a site hit early on.
Yeah, trying to shut these site hits down, it's kind of all you can do, but it's definitely difficult to do with Kai having that operator. If anybody wants to shut him down early, you're going to have to try to push up against some very aggressive plays. It's hard to get aggressive plays against an operator. And of course, they don't have big guns. They have a Stinger, 2 Spectres, a Bulldog, and a Vandal. That is not what you want to do when your enemies have match point. It's not the kind of economy. But Tyrell, he's ready to do some damage. And oh my, that is a lot dealt to the Sage. She is going to, of course, heal herself, but now no more armor whatsoever. She's a 1-tap with the Phantom, which, of course, is going to be on Pond. Pond right now going 3 and 13. He can use the extra kill, and he is going to get it right down through the wall. Beautiful job from Attach. Maybe I called it. Maybe it's just coincidence. Let's see if they're going to now rotate over with that big pick.
Yeah, I mean, A is looking like a very free site for them, and if they decide to go that way, you know, they'll find a very open site for them. But it looks like instead they're just going to opt to try and force rotation over off of that Prowler and decide to hit garage. The question is Rec going to be caught and punished for this aggression down mid?
He's gonna get caught out, but I ask, why was he not able to get those picks? He had the advantage of them not seeing him, and he's been able to hit him before, but Payne, he's got to pick up where Rec left off. He needs to keep this going, and that's going to be 13 seconds remaining with Payne popping off, and he might be able to get it, but the bomb is down, and they just have enough time to plant the bomb. Geo, unfortunately, last man standing to keep his team here and not in the loser's bracket versus an op in the hands of Kai, and he's gonna get the spray, gonna get him down. He needs to clutch this up, and he's ready. He's got the Astral Divide. It's all on this, but he's marked. He's not going to get the Cade, but they're just going to try to walk right past this wall, and I think Geo's ready for it. He's not ready for it. He was not ready whatsoever, but that's going to be the end of that game. And Ookers, congratulations for taking it. You got to hand it to that team. Again, maybe we can always talk about whether or not it was just a compositional difference there. Not sure. On the map of Haven, you got to bring a flashbang. You got to make sure that the enemies can't see you, and they did, and they opened their eyes to see you lose every single round on attack. So good luck into you guys going into the loser bracket. But Disco, tell me what you thought about the game.
I mean, honestly, you could probably fault it to a lot of things. I think the most surface level thing you would say is that the composition is not necessarily what you would call a meta composition for IlluZion. But I think at the end of the day, Ookers just showed us that they're really good at adapting. They're really good at reading their opponents, and they're also good at finding out what their weaknesses are to their opponents. And that's really what it comes down to, is the fact that they were able to tighten up on all of their weaknesses, figure out how they need to attack their opponent's weaknesses. And, you know, in both of those games, we saw them come back from looking like they might lose the game to, I mean, just being completely dominant. So Congratulations to Ookers. They definitely deserve the win. They'll be moving forward while, you know, IlluZion still has a shot at running that lower bracket. But until then, you know, Ookers looking like a very, very strong team.
An incredibly strong team. And, you know, one thing that I can mention about how the bracket's been going on is, you know, Gen G joined by, of course, another one. We have, let me see here. Oh, yes, IGLeague Gaming. That fight, no matter what is going to happen, only one person can walk away from that. And if either of those two teams is in the losers bracket, they're going to dominate. They are fan favorites and incredibly solid. So now that we did see this team get pushed down IlluZion to the losers bracket, they got a beast in front of them now. They thought that the team they just fought, Ookers, was an issue. They're going to have a whole monster to climb out of this bracket underneath us, but they're all best of ones. So whoever, it's just the final shot you get. And let's cut to break. But first, we're going to say thank you to our sponsors, as well as talk about what IGL can bring to you guys. That's right. IGL Valorant Division's coming soon. Announcement, as well as a $2,200 tournament with a little bit of an entry fee, but no rank requirement. So if you guys want to check that out, join the Discord about panels below, or if you want to do some solo arena, which is their own matchmaking, you can check it out over at IGLeague.com. And of course, we'll see you with the next two teams coming right up.